Citizen U presents UFO, where you find out.
We're the two teachers, and today you're going to find out about front-loading.
Frontloading is one of those terms every government student needs to know, and frankly, every voter needs to know because Iowa and New Hampshire suck up a lot of attention when we nominate our candidates.
Really, such a unique way to nominate our chief executive. Out of any country in the world, the fact that our nomination process lasts not one day, not a week, but for months. For months, we go through this process of a state-by-state process of nominating presidential
The
candidates.
silent primary is over, they've raised some money, and now it's time for the people to cast their votes and cast their voices for their respective nominee. And it all begins in Iowa. And Iowa, Andy, plays a disproportionate role in deciding who our next president will be. This is front-loading.
It really does. After almost 2 years of the media speculating about who was going to run and who was raising more money and what this poll said, Iowa represents the first time that actual human beings cast actual preferences for who they want to be their presidential nominee for the Republican and Democratic parties.
Andy, let's note the differences between Iowa and New Hampshire because they're distinct, but both become omens for us. They predict, they foretell, they foreshadow what to expect in the weeks ahead, and maybe to predict who our next president will be.
Maybe.
Iowa has a caucus, Andy. That's a conversation. New Hampshire is a primary. That's a vote. Let's talk a little bit about those differences.
So a caucus is essentially a series of hundreds of town hall meetings that happen across the state of Iowa and about a dozen other states in the United States during the nomination process. And these town hall meetings could be at your school auditorium, it could be at a fire station. And your neighbors join together for a particular time, typically in the evening, 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock. It takes time. And you're right, particularly a Democratic caucus in Iowa is a conversation where you get to see your neighbors, who they support. They actually go to a corner of the room. There's a bit of a debate portion, and you actually cast your vote with your body by standing in a certain portion of the room.
New Hampshire's like a typical election, Andy. You go into a ballot box and you cast a vote on a ballot
Takes minutes.
for your candidate choice for your respective party. Remember, we're choosing nominees for a particular party. Andy, you know, there are thousands of delegates that are required to win your party's nomination. Here in Iowa and in New Hampshire, we're talking about a couple of dozen delegates. Why would a couple of dozen delegates in a race for thousands matter so much?
Dan, this is where you see the merger of politics and media, because Iowa and New Hampshire would not be that important if we didn't have constant media attention on this contest. This is like a high-stakes sporting contest extended over a period of years. And so Iowa and New Hampshire become the first time where there's actually a real score. It's the first 5 minutes of the game, and the media wants that attention. And that's why, yes, you're absolutely right. The actual number of delegates at stake in Iowa and New Hampshire is minimal, but the attention and that momentum building can actually result in a lot of money making for your campaign.
Iowa and New Hampshire portend to pick our candidates. We pretend Iowa and New Hampshire actually matter. Maybe they do. We're the two teachers, and you've been listening to UFO, where you find out.
Today, you found out about front-loading.
No fancy words.
No fancy suits.
Plain talk about issues you need to know.
Just in time.